we're all excited to be here right now. So thanks for coming along.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Tom.
Looks like we're all live and on the air on YouTube.
Great. Should I say a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tom, aka Nukage. I've been producing a while, like 15 years or something like that now. Today I'm going to be talking about Max for Live. I'm also like a software developer and programmer, so I dove into Max for Live about 2 or 3 years ago, and I learned all different things it could do for live performance. So I'm going to show some basic examples of ways you could make really simple devices to help you, perform. And I'll kind of show you that. And also the project files will be available to everybody so you can tear it apart and see how it works and incorporate that into your own live sets if you want to.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, so, this meetup is really about just hanging out, getting to know each other, obviously learning something about live. It doesn't have to be Ableton stuff necessarily, just anything music related, music production related. And it's a great way to meet people and just exchange ideas. So yeah, Victor, give us a little intro, like what brings you here. I feel like I've seen your face before, so
Yeah,
have you been to any 343 events?
Yeah, I definitely have. I took some courses with the producer commonly known as Icarus Moth. I think he's still with you guys now. And I took 2 mixing and mastering courses with him a while back. And I got super busy with music production in school and whatnot and balancing it all out. So now I'm kind of taking a break from it and kind of trying to plan my career. But anyway, about me, I've been producing house music for about 5 years. I used to be a Logic Pro sort of enthusiast until I discovered Ableton Live and took a course in it. And I realized like the creative possibilities are endless. And I actually produced some of my recently best tracks with Ableton. So I really want to get to know all the crooks and whatnot of it and see what what the pros do. So.
Right. Sure. Awesome. Great. Welcome. And we got Ross. Hey, what's up, Ross? You want to give a quick intro?
Hey guys, what's up?
What brings you here?
Hey fellas, you can hear me, huh?
Yep.
Great. All right. So yeah, short and sweet. Yeah, I've been using Ableton, for like 5 or 10 years. I maybe version 4, and I've just found it a very quick songwriter thing. Section 1, section 2, chorus. It's really easy to slap together songs. I've been pretty happy with it, and yeah, the mix downs sound good. So yeah, it's just been a nice go-to tool to write and arrange, and I've been very happy. And I don't dig too far into it. I save the mixing for other people, but it's a pre-production thing to get all my ducks in the row. Super happy. The one question I hope to get answered today is being able to go into loop record, and have it work like other things work, like, Pro Tools and such, where you just loop record and then it throws out a stack of the 5 takes, and I can,
yeah, we're gonna get into that comping.
Yeah, because that's all I need, baby.
Watch out, Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Watch out, Pro Tools.
That's the last, because I never need to be there. All right. Thank you, fellas.
You're going to love it. You're going to see it. Max is going to break that down for you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. That's new in the Live 11. Great. Another couple announcements. 343 TV starts next week, which is our daily live stream from at 1 o'clock Eastern time. If you haven't checked it out, here is the link. I just dropped it in the chat. It's a lot of our instructors doing a different show every day of the week. Yeah, it's a great way to kind of learn new stuff. Also, we're building a community, so you get to meet a lot of your fellow co-producers, whatnot. Also, we've got a Discord channel, which is just getting started, but we've already got quite a few producers on that, students exchanging ideas. So that's another great place and resource to come and find us online. I also dropped that in the chat. Yeah, a couple, if you're interested in taking classes with us, we offer Ableton Live, beginner, intermediate, mixing and mastering, vocal production, composition and arrangement, sound design, synthesis. And you can find those classes at this link. And there is an Ableton beginner class starting tomorrow with Adam, right, Adam? And an intermediate class on the 17th. So you can check those out. All right. I think we're going to get started. So I think the order of operations is I'm gonna kind of get started, and I'm going to be talking about comping. Which Ross just multi-clip, multi-note chunk, cool new feature. Scale and key. So for the first time, we can now express flat keys. So it's not just sharps. I don't know if you guys are into big music theory heads like myself, but I've always been bothered by the fact that a lot of DAWs only show everything in sharps or in flats, and it has no relation to the actual key. So we're talking about like D sharp major, which makes it's technically speaking, that's incorrect. It should be E flat major. D sharp and E flat being the same note. Well, they sound the same, but they are actually not the same note. So we'll get into that. Some cool features like CPU metering, which is really handy. Comping, as I mentioned, and also linking tracks. So yeah, I'm gonna kick things off here. Showing my screen. So I prepared a little clip here. Let me know if you can hear this. You guys hear that okay? First of all, what time signature? The drums. All right. So, anyone?
Well, I don't want to be a bummer, but on the upper left-hand side, it says 7/4.
Yeah, I know. yeah. Right. Okay, so it's in 7/4. Cool. So let's start with the note chance functionality. So one big thing, that we all strive towards in music, in producing music, is kind of varying our drum beats, and not just our drum beats, but creating variation in all our musical parts. So what Live 11 has done, it has now given us the option, just clicking down here, the bottom left, to change the chance of velocity, and actually also change the chance that notes are being played at all. So let's just solo these hi-hats and focus on those to kind of give you an example. So these are my hi-hats. Let me know if they're too low. Right now, these hi-hats are being played at, well, they're all at the same velocity, 83, okay? Now, it would be nice to have those hi-hats vary in velocity. So what I can do is first of all, I can change the velocity range up or down to, minus 127 and plus 127. So now, if I set this range to, let's say, plus 50, and I set the randomize to, I'm going to put it really high so you can really hear it, 127, and I hit randomize, check what happens. All the velocities are automatically randomized. All right, I could also change the velocity ranges going down. That means that, so that range, minus 30, means that the velocity is going to be anywhere from 0 to minus 30. Okay, well, that is the range between which the random velocity is going to occur. I can hit randomize again, and it'll give me a whole nother new set of variations. And I can do that indefinitely. I can change it back up. So now it's creating random variations going up in velocity. All right, now the next cool thing I can do is I can change the probability that these notes are being played at all. So if I click on the probability section here, I can now randomize the probability, and you can see the probability right now is set to 100%. That means that every note is being played 100%. The probability is 100%. If I hit randomize, hit it again, and you can hear that certain notes are not being played at all because the randomizer is kind of changing the probability to 0. So in context of the drum kit, all right, if I want to change that back to 100%, I just select the hi-hats and I pull them all back up. And then if I want to, I can set the probability to whatever value I want. Right now it's at 100%, back at 100. That means that all the notes are being played. So that's a really quick and effective way to create variation in your parts. Not just drums. You can apply this to anything. I could also apply this to melodies. Questions about that? Victor's saying maybe messing around with the ratio may achieve more randomness with the ratio. Okay, yeah, so exactly. So you also have I guess you mean this by ratio, right? The amount of randomness. And feel free to unmute yourself if you want, Victor. Is that what you mean here, changing the
does he mean the velocity? Like, because you have like this range of velocity. And
Yep.
Is that what you mean by, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. No, what I was mentioning is like I felt like it was coming in and out sort of with the velocity, and I felt
Right.
like with a sidechain compressor, you could potentially achieve some like, or maybe doubling down on compressors, you could maybe achieve some randomness there in the velocity.
With sidechain compression?
Yeah, like if you have like an instrument per se where one of the kicks, like multiple, you have different volumes in the kicks, you could maybe achieve something like that. I don't know. It was just an idea.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. No, that's definitely an option. Yeah. Great.
But
So
yeah, this seems a lot simpler.
I can also do this if I had this, and I'm just gonna get out of this real quick. So I have this melody. So same thing. If I want to change the probability that these notes are being played or not, I can just hit randomize, and it's going to skip certain notes. If that's taking out too many notes, then I can just change the percentage here. And then I can do the same thing with a velocity and change the probability, or the change, create variation. So I'm just going to click on velocity and hit randomize. And you know what, to hear this properly, let me just change the probability back to, bring that back up to 100%. All right, so I think you guys can hear that. So that is creating variation using the randomize function. Right, next in line is, let's see, yes, the scale and key. So this is a big feature for music theory heads. Let's say that I have this progression, right? This chord progression. I'm just going to close this up again. So I've got 4 chords here. I've got C major 7, A minor 7, E minor 7, sorry, F major 7, and E minor 7. These are all 7th chords. And the thing about these is that they are all in the C major scale. So if you don't know your scales, what Live 11 now lets you do is it lets you hit this scale button and then select the root of your key. So I'm in the key of C major, and select, there's all types of scales here, but and this is the beta, so there might be more scales coming. I'm going to select C major because I am in the key of C major. And now if I hit scale, it will show me only the notes in the C major scale. All right. If, for example, I change this to, let's say, E major and hit scale, it's only going to show me scale notes in the E major scale, and it's going to highlight the root, which is E. So that's super useful if you don't know your scales, or you're still getting the hang of those. Question,
So,
yeah.
Yes, question. Okay, so yeah, basically it just blacked out the keys. That it doesn't mute the notes, but it tells you where you would slide them to so they would be diatonically correct for the scale you're hitting for.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So actually, you need to turn on this button on the left. Otherwise, you just have the same view that you have in Live 10. So in order to turn on this function, you turn on the scale button here, and
Yeah,
then
it tells you.
If you don't hit this scale button above the keyboard, it'll just indicate the correct notes in the diatonic notes by kind of giving you that colored shade.
Sure,
So
sure.
it's kind of showing you the notes, and then if you hit scale, it'll only allow you to play within that scale. So you can't actually it'll take out the notes that are not in the scale. So you can't make any mistakes.
Right, same way that you would like have an auto tune for your vocals and you would sell it, what not to. Is there a function here where you could transpose and say, like, for instance, because I'm a songwriter, I'm not a big producer, but I love this thing for working on my ideas. So I do it up, and then I realize the key's a little bit too low. Is there a transpose button where I can just tell it to take these MIDI parts and up them?
Yes, super cool function. So check this out. If I just hit Command A, that's going to select all the notes. And now I am going to go up 3 half steps to, let's say, in my case, as a songwriter or music theory nerd, I am going to go to E flat major. So 1, 2, 3. Now, this note in Live 10 has always been called or known as D sharp, right? But check this out. I can now right click and change this note to say E flat. So if I right click on the note, I can select what I want these notes to look like. And now it's an E flat instead of a D sharp, okay? The other thing that I could do is I could just go over here, change the root to a D sharp / E flat, and I could say, do I want the root note to be a D sharp or an E flat? So now this whole progression is in the key of E flat major. Let's check it out. And if I hit scale, again, it's only showing me the notes in E flat major. And just to play devil's advocate here, you know, I could change this root to D sharp if I wanted to, and you're going to see that all the notes are going to change to sharps. Now I've got D sharp major 7 with a C double sharp. I've got B sharp major 7, a C sharp minor 7. So I obviously I wouldn't recommend doing working in sharp here. I would work in flat. And now here's a really cool feature, which is also new in Live 11. I'm just going to go back to, we were in the key of, oops. And as you can see, I just made a mistake, which is that I tried to go back to the original key having the scale button turned on. That means that it was only letting me go back to notes within that scale. So you've got to make sure that you turn off that scale button if you want to go to a different key, because otherwise it'll only let you go to chords within the key of whatever key you're in. So I want to go back to C major. So back down 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. And now here's the thing. This little loop is in C major, and it's consisting of a lead, a pad, a bass, and drums. Now, what if I wanted to transpose all of those at the same time? Well, Live 11 makes it easy. I can now select all 3 of these clips at the same time and see them within each other. So I just clicked on the first clip and then went over to the last clip that I wanted to have included. And you can now see all the clips within each other. So you can see the bass you can see the chords and you can see the melody. And now I can just hit Command A and go up 3 half steps. And now we're in E flat for every single part. So it allows you to edit everything, all the MIDI data in basically one view. All right, so now if you play it, we're in E flat. Same thing here. I've got a couple clips here that are in C major. I'm just going to bring these up to E flat major. Select Command A and gonna throw I'm just gonna throw a compressor on my master just to make sure I don't clip. Here's another cool thing that was improved in Live 11. As you notice, if you click on the audio effects, you now have folders for all the different audio effects according to their function. So you've got delays and loops, drive and color, dynamics, EQ and filters, modulators, pitch and modulation, reverb and resonance, utilities. So for example, I am looking for a compressor, which is a dynamics audio effect. There it is. Let me throw the glue compressor on the master. Oh, I actually have one on there already. Okay, I'm fine then. So let me just turn on the threshold. Let me just bring these down.
Question.
Cool. So that's the multi editing capability in Live 11. Yes, question.
Sorry, it was just about the little technical aspect there. Why the glue compressor over the compressor on the master?
Because it's a difference between the glue compressor. The glue compressor is more gentle, it's warmer, and it, as the name implies, it glues everything together. So for me, the compressor, the regular compressor, is more surgical, and it's the type of compressor I would use on a single track to kind of compress that single track. But if I'm compressing multiple tracks and trying to glue them together, then I'll use the glue compressor.
And then just beyond that, the glue compressor is an emulation of the SSL-G series compressor, which is like one of the most famous bus compressors in the world. A lot of the music that we all listen to, a lot of the hits, have all been processed through this SSL compressor, which is why this glue compressor just kicks some serious butt when it comes to bus processing.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
One more thing I'm going to show you before I get into comping is the CPU metering right here. So down here, this little C button on the right will show you the CPU usage of each individual track, which is super cool. If you're using CPU intensive plugins, or you're trying to figure out where the CPU usage is the heaviest. So as you can see, my CPU usage is heaviest on the drums, then a little bit on the lead, but my bass and my pad are pretty low. And if you take a look at my bass is an operator, which it's a native device, so operator is really good with CPU. The pad is also operator. The lead is operator as well, but it has a couple more audio effects on there, and then the drums is a drum rack. So that's super handy especially when you're working with a lot of tracks and you're trying to figure out which ones I need to freeze to kind of preserve my CPU. We got a couple questions there. Benjamin Crystal. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. We'll try that glue. Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, Serum does use a lot of the CPU. Cool. All right. We are ready to get into some comping. Okay. So for this, I'm actually going to take all my tracks and move into arrangement view. And this is the view that you're probably used to from working in Pro Tools. I know Ross is working in Pro Tools. Is that correct, Ross?
Actually, no, I avoid Pro Tools like the plague.
Okay.
However, and yeah, this is my pre-production tool. This is where I get my song together and then, you know, take it to a band, like all of the things have sort of been thought out, and then let them go from there. And then I go to a studio where Pro Tools is somebody else's problem. But yeah, this is my lovely play workspace where I can think tank all my ideas and yeah, I'm super happy, and yeah, just want to be able to keep working here.
All right. No, sweet. So I'm going to show you comping. I brought my saxophone, which I'm going to be recording.
Great, because yeah, it's only about the audio. I just need to, yeah, guitar parts and vocal parts. Yeah.
Well, actually, the cool thing about comping in Live 11 is you can do the same thing with MIDI as well. So whatever I show you in audio also applies to MIDI. I'm going to create an audio track. Command T. Let's call that sax. And let's just make sure that I'm going through just channel 1 and turn my, correct my levels here. You got it. It's all about wetting that reed. So. All right. So now, I mean, you could either be playing the same phrase over and over again and trying to find the take that you like best, and or not the take that you like best, but cut together the take that you like best. Or if it's something more melodic, like this is the approach I'm going to be doing, is I'm just going to improvise and then figure out the ideas that I like best. So here we go. Let's see how it came out. So now I'm going to right click on the track and go to show take lanes. And boom, these are the different takes that I just recorded over that 4-bar phrase. All right. I'm going to color code just give them a different color so that you can see how I kind of chop them up. All right. Let's get rid of that one. I don't need this. If you want to delete a take lane, you can just delete it. All right. So right now the sax is playing this. And you know what? I definitely need some reverb on this and some delay. So just turn on those sends. All right, and now I'm gonna go through these takes, and let's say that I actually want to start with this take right here. I'm just gonna highlight it and then hit enter. Boom, there it is. Now let's say that I want to use this little phrase right here. I highlight it and hit enter. Another way that you could do it even quicker is you could just use the pencil tool, B, and you know what, let me not. So there you go. It just inserted it by just highlighting it with the pencil tool. But I'm actually going to use, let's say I want to use this over there, and then the beginning of this phrase here. There we go. So now that's my take. So let's check that. Here's one thing, because I'm just going to move everything forward a tiny bit. And it's pretty simple. I just select all of it and just move it forward a smidgen. There we go. It's kind of playing right here. The way that started, so not a problem. I'm just going to start with this phrase and take this out. Another cool thing that I can do is I can just, if I'm not sure about which take I want, I can just scroll through them. And I'm just hitting the command key, and so I've selected the piece that I'm not sure I want to use, and I just hit command and I go down and I can just substitute it. Or what about this piece? So now I'm just switching it with the different takes. Super quick workflow.
Okay, a quick question. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, I like that. Once you establish those regions, you can then go down through the individual lanes. Yeah, dumb question. Is there like a solo button so like I can listen to each lane and then
Sure.
you know decide what? Okay, is there? I'm sure there
Right
is.
here.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
Cool,
you
that
can
was
solo you can solo any of these takes just by hitting the solo button here.
Cool. Yeah, that was my dumb question. Thank you, fellas.
No,
Love it.
No dumb questions whatsoever. Yeah. Cool. And then last thing I'm going to show you is just how to do that with MIDI. So if I have, let's say, different parts here, here's my lead, and there's like little variations with each of these parts. What I could do is I could combine these into one MIDI part that I like, and what I'll do is I can create extra take lanes by just right-clicking and insert take lane right here. Shortcut is Option Command T, I believe. Nope. No, let's check it out one more time. Oh, sorry, Shift Option T. There we go. So I'm going to create a take lane for each of these melodies, and drop them in there. Well, I might as well just grab them all together, right? And then the final one is here. I guess I don't need this one. So now, same thing. I could be like, okay, again, I'm not going to pay too close attention to what I'm doing musically, but I'm going to select this area, and then I'm going to select this area to go there. I want this melody part over there, and then I want to finish with that, and let's see what it sounds like. So this works with MIDI as well. Questions about the MIDI part? All right. Actually, I said this was the last thing, but I want to show you one last thing, which is linking tracks. Okay. So let's say that you have a bunch of audio tracks, and for purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to hide these take lanes. I'm just going to duplicate the sax, and let's say that this was, I have a sax 1 and sax 2, and let's say that they're playing in harmony, right? They're playing essentially the same part, but different notes, different pitches. But I want to edit them the same way, and you know what? I'm just going to consolidate this, so I can just go Command J, consolidate so that it's one piece of audio. And this is the way of committing to the take that you have created. Now let's say that these have been imported from a different track and they need to be warped, or they need to be edited in some way. What I can now do, let me just give this a different color. What I can do is select both of them, and I can go link tracks. This is also brand new in Live 11. Once these tracks are linked, I can do all kinds of things. I can edit. So let's say I don't want that piece, just cut it out. I'm only doing this to the very first track, but it's cutting it out of any tracks that are linked to it, right? Or I can go in and I can warp this. So I'm going to go in and just move this around. It's now moving the other track as well. So if if you want all the tracks to be warped in the same way, this is the easiest way to do it. Because before, you would have to go into each track and warp each track one by one, or cut out that one piece. Let's say you're working with vocals, and there's this one part where a word you want to take out, and you want to take it out on every single track. You can now just link the tracks and edit them all at once. So yeah, questions about that? Nope. Well, cool. We're gonna move on to Adam now, I guess. Adam is so Crystal. I'm guessing. Is this your first time at an Ableton User Group? Do you want to give us a little background to what brings you to our meetup? You're muted.
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, I'm actually an old student of Adam's from
Awesome.
time of Dubspot back in the day. Yeah, I haven't been to one of your meetups before, and you guys are doing a great job. It's really exciting to see what's coming up in Ableton 11.
All right, great. Welcome, Benjamin.
Just so you know,
Adam.
I'm over in Goa in India.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
I was gonna say, where are you? Brazil? Where are you at?
Yeah, I kind of hop around a lot, but since the pandemic, I've been here in India, which has been kind of cool. Got a nice little studio here, and I've actually got some time to produce. Because, you know, normally I'm always running around playing gigs, so it's awesome.
What year were you at Dubspot?
Oh, that's a very good question. Adam, any ideas?
2013.
13 it was, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, those were the good years.
Yeah, that was that. You're right. That was like the best. You got lucky, man. That was all of it.
Wow,
Wow,
cool.
it must be pretty late there right now. You're like,
It's it's like half past midnight.
right.
Yeah.
Well, if you got to go to bed, man, get going.
Cool. I want to check out what you got to say,
Yeah,
bro.
man, I'm about to go, so let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're all here, we're all hanging out. Max, thanks for sharing those features and laying it out. And
Yeah.
making this event, you know, for those of you, I think some of you guys are revisiting. For those of you who are coming for the first time, make sure to check out what 343's got going on so many levels, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom. There's just so much of a community here online.
Discord. Check out Discord. I'll share the link again in case Benjamin missed it.
So yeah, there's just so much awesome community online, and during COVID, it's just something I think we need. So, and then as always, if you want to go deeper, you got to go to 343labs.com, check out the courses. I'm starting a beginner course this week, so I'm looking forward to that. All right, I'm going to kick off tomorrow. That's right. Right. I'm going to be getting into Ableton Live's sound design capabilities, and I'm going to be highlighting some of the new audio effects that are going to bring really cool life. And for me, prior to this release, I've always been a big fan of like time-based effects like delay and like smearing sound for transitions. And Ableton Live 11 has introduced some really powerful audio effects like Spectral Resonator and the spectral time that's going to give us this potential. So I'm going to go into a lot of devices. I don't want to list them all off right now. I'm going to first start off with just playing this sketch I've been working on to show off some of these things, and then I'm going to back it up and kind of break it down. So let me get my screen share going. Let me get my session going. And I'm also going to drop a tool that I built called Spectropolis, which highlights also some of the new features that I'm going to be showcasing. But first, I'm going to start off with just playing, listening, and then we're going to go back and break down what's going on. I do want to point out a couple things. You can see up here in my timeline, as the track is playing, I'm going to try my best to like click to show you what's being automated. You can also kind of see up here, spectral time, working with hybrid reverb, Spectropolis, which is a combination of all these things. So basically these little markers will kind of indicate, so you can, you know, you're like, oh, something's happening. Of course, you might not know what it is if you don't have the beta. Just know that that's, you know, a moment to pay attention. So I'm going to hit play, and then we'll back it up and talk about everything. Here we go. Let me know how the audio, let me just double check everything on my end before I hit play. And let me just make sure everything's still okay. Yes, this should come through. Hopefully it doesn't chop up. Hey, look at that. My track is too good.
Yeah.
Ableton Live
What,
crashed.
it crashed?
Yeah. So what was happening, why it did just crash, was the Spectral Resonator. Once I talk about it, has a feature to route your MIDI to determine what pitches we're going through. And I had that turned off when I was reviewing this. So I was just changing that modification, and it's the beta. So that's like kind of a sensitive thing to be messing with in a live situation. I apologize about that. That's why the bass kind of fell a little flat. Let's start over. My apologies. I'll start right where it
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. No, it's all good.
So
yeah, important to know, to kind of realize. Adam, we can't hear you right now.
you can't hear me?
Oh no, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You heard. Okay, yeah. I'm just waiting for live to start up.
Okay.
I want to recover the work.
So as Adam was saying, this is a beta, and we don't know exactly when the release is coming out. But we're tweaking things and fixing bugs and all that kind of thing. So this is what is to be expected of a beta. And a lot of the new devices right now are very kind of CPU intensive.
Yes. All right.
Okay, we're back on.
Back on. Let me just check everything. I'm gonna pick off where I left off. And here we go. So this is Spectropolis in action. I'll drop this in the chat. You guys can have it. Use it when you get the beta. Use it when, well, we'll see what modifications they use when the official come out. Please don't crash. Here we go. Oh, come on. Come on.
Sounded good.
That's the big moment to show off how the spectral time can be used as this phenomenal transitional effect that you can just use, take any sound and just smear it into a whole section and make these awesome drones and just unfold all these textures. We'll start it off right there. This is probably also just a combination of Zoom and everything else. And yeah, I am kind of using the more demanding, newer tools that, as we can see, are a bit tough. So yeah, this is just part of it. This thing was running smoothly. But here, let's just kick it off right here. Check out, hopefully this connects with us and doesn't crash. This whole little section is gonna really show off the spectral time effect. So just understand that I'm taking this synth chord and device. Let's make sure my audio is still being up. I didn't share it. My apologies. And okay, so, all right. Hopefully it does not crash, but we'll kick it off right here. All right. So that's what we got. A lot of movement with these audio effects.
Sounded dope, Adam. Really liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Love that like echoplex type, like
Yeah,
throwback.
that's a combination. So yeah, I'm going to rewind and kind of showcase each of these tools, hopefully in a time efficient way, and tell you what is bringing that to life. So I'm going to show you everything from the start to finish, from the order of the song in which everything is coming in. So the first thing, I'm getting a lot of interesting textures just with Spectral Resonator. So I have this sample. This sample is coming from a splice pack that I'm putting out this year, and it's just with field recordings. It's with Madam Gandhi, who's a phenomenal musician and artist doing incredible things. Check it out. So this is a little walking field recording. It's got a little motif, a little kind of pattern to it. I put the Spectral Resonator and I have this kind of call response. Dat do, dat, do, dat, right? That's the rhythm. Dat do, dat. So as I'm following that rhythm, you can see my frequency is also kind of changing. Call and response, something that we'll see in like folk music, blues. You know, it's like when you have two maybe melodic things or rhythmic things talking to each other. And then I'm going to focus on this and look how I use my decay to take this field recording. I have this cool call and response, kind of interesting texture. Spectral Resonator, probably like, wait, what is this thing? It's an audio effect. Okay. And it's kind of like Corpus. And if you're not familiar with Corpus, you're probably like, all right, what is this guy talking about? It's basically like a resonator. It's a body. And whatever you put through it is going to trigger this resonator. So the resonator does have kind of like a tone. And right now, as I run, the transients of that walking sample are going to kind of serve as an impulse. And in response, I get this spectral resonance. And the resonance, of course, is the sound engine inside of it. And this is what we're getting. And I'm able to automate the frequency, which is going to determine the output, and the length of that resonator. It's like an oscillator, basically. You can look at it as kind of like a synthesizer, like an audio effect, and the synthesizer that's only going to react to when you put a signal into it. So check out how this sound, all of these tools can be very subtle to very extreme. I would say this is kind of subtle, and now I'm able to use this tool as a transitional way to wash out, losing some audio. Watch the decay. Woo, on fire, man. On
Nice.
fire today. Crashing and burning. I'd like to give a shout out to Dennis Fisher and Bruce. If you guys are watching this, I apologize about the crashing, but it's what's happening right now. So everyone was with me. How was the audio on that? That was Spectral Resonator. That is one of many examples I want to show off. Basically, if you put it on something, it's going to, whatever the rhythm or the transients, that's going to strike the resonator. And then you get these tones that you can manipulate in so many creative ways. So many creative ways. So this video isn't necessarily going to break down this tool so that you watch it and you know exactly what everything is doing. It's more of an oral experience to kind of hear what these things are doing. I am pointing out some of my favorite parameters to touch. So those are things you can check out. So I'm going to move forward to what I believe Ross is maybe locking onto, which is my use of the hybrid reverb, which is just an absolute beast. And before I move on to that, I feel pretty hyped right now. Does anybody have any questions so far? Does anyone have any questions so far? Everyone cool? All right. So I got my hybrid reverb. It is combining two amazing worlds of reverb, convolution reverb and algorithmic reverb, hence the name hybrid reverb. If you are an Ableton, a seasoned user, Ableton user, and you've used the Convolution Reverb from Max for Live, and you used Ableton stock reverb, you're probably going to be pretty comfortable with this. Now, in this reverb, I really explored the convolution side of things, and what's really giving this synth, this slapback feel. These work. This continuous crashing is not making me.
We can't. Yeah.
There it is. So my apologies. I was showing this hybrid reverb. I've crashed about 3 times, and I'm letting you know that this synth part that we're hearing Ross, I apologize. Is that what you were referring to? Maybe that slapback stuff, maybe not.
Oh, no, that was at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, you had like an echoplex thing where you move the handle out and the time changes.
Oh, that's, yeah, same tool, but used a little bit different. Spectral time, but used a little bit differently. We'll get to that one.
Cool.
Just pointing out, I'm using the textures, and I'm using this preset that has this kind of reverse reverb effect. Now, the tool that I'm using to make that reverse reverb effect be accented by an overdrive isn't necessarily a new Max for Live tool, but I do want to emphasize this feature, which is how Ableton Live has done this awesome job. I've been waiting for something like this. In the audio effects, it's just really well organized. So you can see the audio effects are now grouped in the families that they belong in. It's something I used to do in my collections. And in this new way of organization, it repurposes effects and tools that I know from experience of teaching people from beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Some folks, for good reasons, just don't go down to Max for Live. They just don't mess with it. You know, we stay within the boxes of our comforts. And I cannot express how many people just miss out on the opportunity because they just don't go down this far. They just live over here. So I really believe that this repurposing of these really awesome, powerful Max for Live tools is going to really show folks and introduce these tools to them for the first time. They've been around. They just haven't been so accessible to where you're going to find them. So I'm not showcasing a new tool, but I'm going to show, like, I'm using my envelope follower. It's on my drums. That's the thing that Ross is talking about. But it's on my drums, and I'm using that to drive a couple things. I'm using that to drive my distortion on my reverb. Followers are so awesome. Next relationship, something with something else. The rhythm of that drum is driving my overdrive, so I get this cool connection with my reverb that's kind of being automated by the transients, by the input of that, by the output signal of that drum, right? By the amplitude of that drum. So I just wanted to highlight this feature, which is one of my favorite features, a subtle feature, but very important. Being organized with your tools, being able to find them. I can't wait to start kind of like, I want more collections, Ableton Live, I hope you're listening, I want more collections. But now that we have these organized tools, I probably can repurpose these because I needed that. You know, I had to create my time base and all of that. So this is one of my favorite features. Modulators is a really cool thing that's using the Max for Live, that's kind of giving you those tools in a more accessible way where it's in those audio effects. I'm going to move onward. We're going to make it finally to Spectropolis. Let me find the, I'll drop it in the chat when I'm done. So it's kind of fun. I'm going to just have some fun with this.
Could you X out of the crash report? That way we can see you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Max. Is it a full screen for you guys or no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. So if we were to look at this, we have a drum beat and a synth. Using a hybrid reverb. I'm going to bring in my return. Okay, so I'm going to now share and show off a combination of new tools. The Spectral Resonator being one of them. We've been seeing it. You saw how I used it on that field recording to get this cool call and response. I also used it to take that field recording and make it into this washed out filter sweep by automating the decay. Now, I'm using this a little bit differently. The Spectral Resonator, like Corpus, gives me the opportunity to control the pitches of the resonator using MIDI. Now, you have to understand this is convolution in a way. I'm getting the notes of MIDI to determine the output frequency of the Spectral Resonator. And what's getting convolved is the impulse of the drums is then driving the rhythm of that resonator. So I get the rhythm of the drums and the rhythm of the drums, the pitch of those rhythms are being defined by this synth. So I'm able to create these cool bass lines just entirely through an audio effect. This is all an audio effect. And if you're like, well, why not just write a bass line? That does make sense in production that you normally would write a bass line. And you could work with it like this. For live purposes, it's pretty wild. If you put this on your return, you could, and you route your MIDI to it, you can just like jam out on this thing and create bass lines through audio effects, through sending whatever you want at any moment to that return. So I have a combination of a lot of different things that are adding to this, but it's the Spectral Resonator that's the star in this, that's getting that tone. And that's how I'm able to take this lead. All these other things hitting this, but I'll just take them all off and just show you that lead that's the Spectral Resonator. That's my synth dun, 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 that's being processed through here. And now I have all these other manipulations. I dropped it down 24 semitones. I'm using my auto filter to make it a wobbly thing. I'm combining a lot of different tools, but the Spectral Resonator is the star of this. And this new audio, the new ability to add 16 macros is a new beastly feature that's just a game changer for Ableton Live. Right here, I can have up to 16 macros. I can have at least one. It's so much fun. I'm going to showcase the one knob thing. You're able to take them away and add them really easily, plus and minus. Maybe you don't need them all for a certain situation. Maybe you need to compact it. I'm using about 14 knobs. And what's crazy about this is now we can actually store the state of these knobs. I've had no solution for this. I've had so many students come to me and be like, I have this audio effect rack, I have this instrument rack, I have 8 macros. Now you have 16, up to 16. And I want to try out different things. How do I save that and not lose it? You would have to literally save the preset, build an audio effect rack and an instrument rack and put it on a chain view. It was ridiculous. Now you can just say, I'm going to do this quickly. Oh, this is how I like it. Focus on the send. That sounds pretty hilarious, but I'm going to say that's what I like. I'm going to hit new. That's going to save that variation. I can call it strange nonsense, because that's what it is. And I can map those to a MIDI controller. I don't have the map. I'm using my mouse right now, but you can hit Command M, map it to a MIDI controller, and spike off these, launch off these very dramatic differences. So I'm going to just have some fun and show you that this audio effect is taking these drums, Let me turn on all my stuff. It's just so cool because just the different movements of macro knobs, it almost sounds like we have 5 different instruments in the click of a button. So it's just so powerful. This is what actually the thing I'm excited about everything, but I love macros, and this ability to screenshot and store these states of the macros and then quickly navigate and punch through them is awesome. Now you can store them. I usually like storing my own. Of course, we have this amazing random feature right here. I don't think we're going to get that many great results through this, but you can by just randomizing. And maybe you do find randomly an awesome situation. You can just store it. You want to rename it, you can rename it. You want to delete it, you can delete it. Big, big awesomeness. I'm going to move on from the new macro. You can have up to 16, as little as 1. You can store the state of these simply by hitting new. You can plus and minus your macros. You don't have to see that state. You don't have to see your shots, your macro variations. It's very clean. Okay. All right, let's go to this nature loop. This nature loop. Let me get your faces off of my screen because I can't see what I'm doing. Here we go. Similar to what I'm doing over here. It's just that frequency modulation, spectral resonator off. These different some subtle pitch modulation. I'm also using the chorus ensemble, which is a new, improved chorus, and it's a beast. I love vibrato. It's not using vibrato. I'm using vibrato down here. So I mentioned that the Live 11 release just added so many cool pitch modulating devices, chorus ensemble being one of them, spectral time being another, spectral resonator being another. We're able to take pitch. There's something about pitch modulation that we just love, and vibrato is one of them. You know, you hear it in opera, you hear it in songs, you hear it on the guitar, you hear it in the violin. Now it's easier. I would have to build vibrato on whatever synth I was using. Okay, if it's wavetable, I route the LFO to pitch and really small amount. You can create vibratos by routing an LFO to pitch in a very small amount. Now, all you have to do is throw the chorus ensemble, go to vibrato, and now you have a vibrato. This vibrato is also being driven by my envelope follower. I have the drums, the signal of my drums controlling 3 different parameters. So there's a relationship between my rhythm and the sound of my vibrato. Hey. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. This is it, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Got another crash on our hands. About to wrap this up in a second. And as we're waiting for this to reopen, you guys are hearing, and I just want you to know the synths and the chords. You hear this like subtle pitch bend, and that's the chorus ensemble, which is another new refined tool that is being used to kind of dress up my my synths a little bit. Hey.
Any questions while we're rebooting live?
Okay, here we go. Share screen.
Oh yeah, quick one. So the Max Live, I guess that's been around for a while. That's a set of plugins that we buy somewhere else. The Max.
No, see that's so. Ross, are you Ableton Live 10 Suite user?
Yeah, well, I'm on. Yeah, what it is I'm on I'm on 10 standard. I haven't upgraded the Mac. Yeah.
With the standard, you can actually pay the difference to get Max for Live. If you're a 10 suite user, Max for Live just comes with it. So that's another thing, and I should have specified that. Ableton 10.
I was looking for it immediately. As soon as I saw you, I was like, oh, let me see.
Yeah. Standard, like if you want to not go, you can kind of play with the costs with the standard and just add and choose what you want.
Yeah.
But you could add Max for Live. You would have to pay for that. If you are a suite user, it's free. It's kind of built into the cost.
And so now 11 hasn't come out yet because I've been looking on the website.
No, the beta users you guys can sign up. There might be a waiting list. All the students that I've spoken to that signed up for the beta, some of them had to wait a bit. That might have changed over time. You can experience the beta if you want to. That's it. That is it.
Yeah, no, I'll wait. But then, because like as I bought the 10 standard license, I think I can upgrade to the 11, but maybe I might not get all the bells and whistles. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell folks, especially it sounds like Ross, it sounds like you're doing a lot. I always tell folks like just go all in for the suite, man. It's worth it. Once you start looking at like what you don't get, if you were to actually pay for those tools and how they break it down, the suite is just worth it.
Yeah, I'll take myself out for something nice later. All right. PC's back.
So I'm going to finish it off with the chorus ensemble and then show a couple more things. You hear that? That's that subtle difference. I'm a sucker for that tone. All right. So vibrato, if you're a sucker, if you hear those synths in music and you hear this little subtle bend, that's the vibrato. If not, if you hate vibrato, well, I'm moving on to the next topic. So here we go. I've been hyping this thing up. We've been seeing it. Spectral time in its full. I've used it now the second time in a subtle way and now in a very transformative way where I can take whatever sound I run through it, jack up my feedback and just let it go. So you can just drone out things. I know Benjamin Crystal, he's playing all these awesome ecstatic dance gigs and I can see droning things out in a live situation. I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. So here we go. I'm freezing it, by the way. I had to freeze it. Okay. The freeze is the main thing. A part of this. Spectral time is broken into two parts. This video isn't entirely about all the innards of it, but I will, quickly break down the main component to this. When you try it out, I'm freezing it. It does exactly what it sounds like. It's going to take that sound, freeze it, and then I can do all these cool things with it. Finally, the last thing, and I promise this is the last thing, and this is where Ross is. It's the same tool, Spectral Time, on my drums, automating my favorite parameter, the shift, which is giving us that transposition. So I'll talk a little bit about this audio effect. Okay, the delay works like a delay, right? Your time, your modes, feedback, length of the delay. Of course, this is where something is new. That's going to be the spectral time of it. I want to just talk about the tilt. The tilt is going to kind of determine the delay times for your lower frequencies to your higher frequencies. When you tilt negatively or tilt counterclockwise, you're going to kind of emphasize the lower frequencies and they're going to be more dramatic and they're going to have a different, potentially faster delay. I'm going to tilt from here and then I'm going to tilt over here and you're going to hear from low to high.
Nice.
All right. There's so much awesome stuff, and there's a lot of great information on the website, out in the world, from Ableton.com, from other certified trainers. You guys got to kind of experience it in like action. I just want you to know, like, go online, type in Spectral Time. Okay, you're gonna see some videos that just talk about every nook and cranny of it. I'm gonna stop right here. Any questions? Please ask away. Let me open up the chat. I'm gonna drop Spectropolis into there as well. It is free, so that means if it blows up your computer and your whole studio burns down, it's not my fault. All right, let me find the chat. I'm gonna stop the share. I gotta find the chat.
Are we ready to switch over to Tom?
Yeah, switch over to Tom. Thank you, everybody.
Right. Yeah, let's hear it for Adam Metropolis.
Spectropolis is in
and any questions? Any questions for Adam about anything that he just did?
Hey, Adam, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
How is the push to integration for all these new effects, and also the 16 macros and snapshotting and things like that?
Okay. So one thing that the 16 knobs is gonna map. There's gonna be like a little toggle. I don't have a camera set up on my push, but you can easily access those 16 macros by kind of swiping above in those top 8 touchpads. One thing that I was searching for, and this might be a feature that is implemented, I cannot, I'm trying to tap in. Like we got to witness Ben Casey kind of show this thing off, and there's a chance I might have missed how and if you can trigger those different macro variations with the push, right? Like I was trying to look for the kind of a session view screen where I can launch off variation 1, launch off variation 3. I have unsuccessfully figured that out with the push. I'm not entirely sure if that is integrated yet. I cannot say that it won't be. It probably will be. And through my search on the internet in terms of, where we are today, this is in the beta phases. There are things that are being improved upon. So unfortunately, all of us, we don't know exactly every nook and cranny yet. That said, the only thing that I'm aware of is you can MIDI map. So if you want to pop into your user mode or you have another controller, you can easily MIDI map every one of those variations. That's the one thing where I'm not able to see the integration yet. And if it's there, I just don't know of it. And I apologize. I am unable to figure out how to manipulate the macro variations using the push. When it comes to the macros themselves and having 16 of them, super easy. It's just going to be a toggle of the button to go from the first 8 to the second 8 or however many in between.
I'm sure everybody could agree that having all those variations on the hardware and being able to see the names of them and being able to switch between them on the fly.
It's
and
so
clips. Linking them to clips would be awesome too.
Yes, yes, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, you could kind of do that with CliffX with something called NVCap, which basically takes every single possible parameter and essentially creates a automation clip for each parameter and puts it all into a clip. The thing about that is it's so much data that it actually slows your set way down because it's like literally snapshotting every possible combination and it just stores it as automation. So
yeah, I mean, well, that to like continue this conversation in terms of my suspicion of it's just not there yet. I tried to do like a clip automation for my variations when I was in session view, and I couldn't. There was nothing. There was no option to. You can map them, but there was no option to access those variations directly from the clip envelope, which is my theory to where I don't think it's implemented into the push smoothly yet.
Okay, that kind of ties in with what I'm going to show today. Something with Max for Live. So I guess
cool.
Should we transition now?
Yeah, do your thing. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, so my name is Tom. I produce music as Nukage. I've got my on Zoom. You can see I'm kind of taking up two screens here, but you can see that's my website and a link where you can download the project file that I'm showing you today. In fact, it's in Dropbox, so if I save the project today. It'll actually update. So you might want to wait until after I'm done in case there's something messed up that I can fix real quick. But I'm gonna try to see how much I can get done. So basically I'm a music producer and I'm a performer, and I've been performing live as Nukage for a long time, since really like mostly since like 2013, but I did like do some other shows before that. But mostly in terms of like in New York and everything, Warper Party. I don't know if you guys know Warper Party.
Yeah.
But definitely check out Warper Party once, and I assume once things open up, there will be live in-person Warper Parties again. I don't think this pandemic can kill it, because it's been institution in Brooklyn and well, Manhattan too, since I think 2000 and I want to say like 4 or something. Like it's been around forever. So let's see. So my approach to performance involves, let me switch over to my screen. So I'm going to do screen share now. Let me share screen 1, share. All right. There we go. So, so I perform my music. One of the way I've tried many different ways of performing music. The one way that I like right now is performing with stems and using synths to play over top of these stems. So I'm just gonna do. I got my push 2 over here. You can kind of see in the background of my camera view, and I've got my Launchpad X right next to it. So what I can do is I can launch these scenes from pretty much any like of these grid controllers support clip and scene launching. And APC40, like these kind of controllers been around for about 10 years or more. Oh, did I lose my video here? It's weird. Can you still see my Ableton?
Yep. Yeah, I can still see your layout.
Okay, it went away on my screen for some reason. And then basically, what was my train of thought there? I've got stems from my tracks, and that allows me to kind of remix them live. And then over here, kind of how this ties in with the subject of my presentation is actually specifically Max for Live. So how I actually build my own devices in Max for Live that help me perform more efficiently. So I'll just kind of walk you through what would happen here. So I'll hit a scene. The scene launches 4 stems of one of my tracks. They're split into drums, bass, synths, and vocals, or sometimes other combinations, but this happens to be, these 2 tracks happen to be split that way. Then what will happen is everything, when I launch that scene, it not only does it launch the music, but it also launches other automation that are on control devices. If you guys are kind of new to live, this might all sound like absolute jargon to you, and I'll try to kind of explain everything. But the idea is that not only do we want different music to play when I change the scene, but we want different control settings to be fired off that will influence how these MIDI controllers actually respond to me. So when I am playing this song called Metanoia, or at least when I'm playing the first part of this song, Metanoia, I've got a little thing here, a little clip that actually has no audio in it, and some people call it a dummy clip. There's other names for it, but basically it just it actually just changes some settings on some devices. And this device here is called the Vst Snapshot Automator, and this basically can it takes advantage of a feature in Max for Live where Max for Live can actually host VST instruments. So it's like, you know how you can load VST instruments into Ableton? Well, this isn't that. This is actually almost like another program loading a VST and then Ableton. So it's almost like a wrapper, if you will, And what that allows you to do is that Max for Live has different ways of interacting with VST plugins than are available in Ableton. So if I click this, you'll see I have a serum in here. And so this can work with any VST. And what I've done is I've built a little fairly simple patch. And if you've never looked inside of a Max for Live patch, this may look complex, but believe me, it's not. So sometimes it takes a minute to start. It doesn't do me dirty. Here we go. So basically, the best, if you think this is interesting at all, what you should do is download the project file that I uploaded at that link, because then you can open it up and really look at what's in here. And because we're really not going to be able to really dive into what every single one of these little things does, and you kind of need to know all that if you're going to do anything with this. But the main thing is you can go in here and see this little thing called VST. If you decide, hey, I want to use this in my project, all you have to do is make a little object called VST and then type in the name of your VST DLL and then plug in all these wires into it. Or you could just simply just type in your DLL file here and it'll work with whatever VST instrument in this case, because this is though it's wired up to be an instrument. And what it'll let you do is essentially create an unlimited number of snapshots for that file. So probably should have led with that. That's kind of the purpose of it. But the purpose is, okay, so we've got this, we've got our live set. We want to be able to play a number of different sounds from our push, but instead of needing to have all of my sounds for my entire set loaded in memory, like that's kind of the normal way that one would approach it, like use a chain selector or something. And then if you have, there's a theoretical limit to the number of sounds you can have because they take up RAM. But with a synth, you're literally just moving a bunch of knobs to change the sound. But like to do that in Ableton, other than this, it's kind of not really, it's kind of a non-starter. So what this allows you to do is like Max for Live actually stores the positions of all the knobs in Serum. So when I come in here and I move this knob, you'll see the preset basically changes. Now, unfortunately, this window, there we go. So I've got a bunch of presets in here. And when I move this knob, the preset changes, and it's fully, it's not doing anything with program change messages or anything. Like this is literally an entire snapshot of this VST. So, and it changes very quickly. Now, I know like some of you guys know Serum. Sometimes it takes like a second or two to load a preset. This is very, very fast. So if you're playing live, you can switch these presets on the fly. So not only can you automate this knob, you could map it to a knob, you could map it to buttons on one of your push controllers, you could map it to whatever you want. And one of the things that, and like and this is just one example of how you could use this feature. So, and this is one of those things where the stuff I'm telling you about this is like stuff that like I just had to like kind of mess around with Max for Live for a while to find out about this stuff. Like even really advanced users that I know have no idea that you can host VSTs inside of Max for Live and control them in different ways. So, and this kind of goes beyond just this simple application of, oh, I just want to automate the snapshot. Let me see. I wrote down some random examples of like what else you could do with this in theory. So if you took this patch and you expanded it, you could, for instance, accept MIDI messages, and you could map MIDI messages on another controller to change the sound. You could use OSC messages. You could add macro control support. So add more knobs. So you can just type in over here, live.dial, and there you go. You have a knob. You can make a number of these, connect them over here, and you can control any knob in your VST. You could even have these dynamically map if you wanted to, based on some conditions. You could actually you can also host multiple VSTs. So you could have, when you change the snapshot, it doesn't just change serum, it might change serum and a distortion unit and another and a guitar amp and like 3 other things all stored in the same snapshot. That's another way you could use it. You could also send, you could take the MIDI data that's coming in and send it to somewhere else. So you could send it over, like send it to an OSC out and have that power your visuals if you wanted to. So like there's like this Max for Live is just this toolkit where it's like all about connections. You're connecting different things. You can connect your VSTs to your lights in your studio, or make it power your visuals or anything. And it's really, the possibilities are endless, but I'm just kind of like, it's just one of those like examples, like it's practical. You might want to have different sounds. So that's why this is kind of why I built this particular example. So let me kind of show you how it works. I kind of did it, and I was going to do it the other way around, but I'll just close this and just kind of show you how it works in practice. So I'm going to hit play on here. Hopefully it's not too loud and blast you, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget. All right. Well, I hope you could tell that every time I trigger a different scene, my pusher is playing a different sound. And that was kind of the point of the performance, is to, and I just put this together really quickly, but theoretically, what I like to do is during the really quiet parts of the set, I like to play, really quiet instruments that have a lot of dynamics. They're really expressive, like pianos, plucks, bells, lots of reverb, and then I can kind of go crazy, be more ambient, and then in more intense parts of the track of the set, really, I could have sounds like you just heard that really cut through the mix. They sound great over top of that heavy drop that already has a million sounds in it. And I even use sometimes I have a side chain, so you could actually using this drum track over here, I could actually trigger an audio controlled side chain that detects the peaks and then just triggers sidechain. So I can even sidechain my live audio that I'm playing back. What else can I show here? So that's the basic idea of this Vst Snapshot Automator. Another cool thing I built is this, I use a VST called Tornado, which is a multi-effects unit by a company called Sugar Bytes. And the idea behind this is much like Ableton's 8 macros. This essentially is a VST that mirrors that same philosophy, where one knob can control multiple settings in an effect. So if I click over here and inside this edit button, I'll see that this knob controls the sample rate in this particular this, and this one delay highs, this one controls sweep speed. So this is all defined within this VST. But unlike Ableton Live racks, effect racks, this can be, all of these settings can be changed with a simple preset change. So if I'm in a live set, this gives me access to like hundreds of variations of effects. And this, like, as you can see on the left here, we've got filters, we've got granulizers, we've got, these are basically like different weird loopers and phaser, tonalizer, flanger. And so now, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to make my live set like normal in the olden days, used to, before I had this, I would just pick like 8 really nice effects, and I would just use them throughout the entire set. Or maybe if I was, maybe if I had an extra MIDI controller and I had extra knobs, I could map 16 effects. But the bad old days, it's like you just kind of had what you had. But now with this, I could make 8 different knobs or 8 custom effects for basically every scene I have in my set if I wanted to. So, so basically, how do these effects interact with the music? So basically, I've got my push over here, and it can basically route the effects. So let's just play the drum track. So over here, I can control. See, now the drum track is going to the effects. And the bass and the other tracks are not affected. So I could decide I just want to glitch up the drums for a while as part of my set. If I just, I can be completely in the moment when I'm playing. If I'm like, I feel like screwing out with drums for a while, just route the drums over to the effects, play with the knobs till the song, plays out or whatever. And with this particular setup, I don't have I'm manually kind of advancing all the scenes. So if I'm grooving on this loop and the audience is vibing on that particular part of the song, I can just have it loop, because I'm creating variations all this time. So it's not going to get stale necessarily if I just keep looping the same drop. It might actually be great. And if it's working, it's working. I kind of always, that's how I started kind of, I guess it's like more like, it's not quite DJing. It's more like clip DJing, where I'm just kind of looping one section at a time. And then when I feel like the moment is good, I can just move to the next section. So that's kind of like about how I perform about Max for Live. Can open up this effect to, I don't know how like nerdy I should get with the Max for Live stuff. If you're interested in learning this stuff and building your own devices and trying to see kind of how you could, all this stuff just started off as an idea I had. I just had this idea like, what if I know that a Serum or any synth can make unlimited number of sounds. Like that's the whole idea behind a synthesizer. It can make practically unlimited types of sounds. So why am I limiting myself to just these few sounds when I'm playing live? And I just had this idea, and it's just been kicking around in my head for a long time until finally I found out about these VST devices in Max for Live and just started messing with it. And the best way to learn about any of this stuff is just to open up any patch, and it helps if the patch kind of does something like what you want to do. And so just if you go to maxforlive.info, I think it's maxforlive.info, there's a big repository online of user-created devices. So if you want to create your own delay and you have this idea for a really cool delay that doesn't exist, or even like you might have seen a delay on a hardware unit and you're like, wow, I love the way that delay works. And you have kind of an idea of how it works because you experimented with it, but you're like, it has this one knob that whatever it might be, it adds noise or something. and you could download somebody else's delay unit and just experiment and like see if you can figure out how to like make something like that. That's pretty much what everybody does. Like, it's not one of those things that there's really good YouTube tutorials about. And I don't think that's because there's an interest for it. I don't think that's because there isn't people that are knowledgeable. I just think that every single thing that somebody wants to do, like for instance, when it comes to audio production, a lot of people want to know how to make a trap beat. You can learn how to do that pretty easily. And then also, if you know how to make a trap beat, you can make other types of beats, and it's kind of it makes sense. But when it comes to like Max for Live, it's like there's a million different things you could do. There's a million different things that you might want to do with it. So it starts to become every single person's niche of what they want to accomplish is very different. So my needs are different than yours. But that's what's great about it, is that I could throw something together like this in maybe an afternoon. So that's kind of all the philosophy behind it. But just to get more specific about it, if you've opened this patch and you just look at it like, I don't understand what any of this means, what you can do is you can just right click on any of these little building blocks. They're called objects. So these little boxes have the gray kind of on the top and the bottom. They're called objects. You just right click on them and you can do it out of the help or the reference. So let's try the help. And it basically just tells you what it is. Output raw MIDI data. So this is just going to output the raw MIDI data that you're sending to it from your MIDI controller. And that's all it is. It's very straightforward. So any device that needs MIDI data coming into it will need this MIDI in device. And the great thing about this is that it's an interactive demo. So you actually can like control click on it and move these around, disconnect these things, see what they do. It's kind of a bad example because it's not really MIDI and it's kind of boring, but like route is really cool. You open the route help, it shows you how you can use this thing. These are some examples of, route. If I have a 1, 2, if I have a 1 at the beginning of the message, it comes out in this little thing. If I have a 5, if I have a 2, it comes out over here. Everything else comes out this side. So if you have MIDI messages coming in, like, they're all just numbers. You can say for each number what you might want that number to do. So I've used that before to like split a keyboard. Be like, okay, I need to route this range of MIDI values over here because I want to have this section of my Launchpad control change the what's an example? I was using it to do like slicing. So I had like one half of my Launchpad like changing which slice of the sound, and the right half of my Launchpad changing which sound was playing. So I could select a break with my left hand and then chop the break with my right hand. And so example of how I was using route to just decide if the MIDI message would be going to the changing the sound object or changing the slice object. So I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff so far? This would probably be a good point to just gauge where people's heads are at. All right, maybe I should look in the chat. I don't have the chat open.
Max for Live is a heady topic, right?
It is
crazy. Yeah. So I guess if you could just recap the main, I look at Max for Live is normally like a solution for problems that no one else has for you. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. So you have this awesome, massive device that is essentially allowing you to automate or scroll through automations on various devices on different tracks potentially.
Right. And this just simply is a snapshot. So once again, this is doing is, unfortunately with Max for Live, your VST window does not stay in the front. which is one of those weird things. It's just like any other window. Like in Ableton, your VST window is always in the front, right? Anyway, so on your, let's see here. If I go to this, it says slow show. I can't talk. Slow show snapshots. Wow. And if I click on this device, you'll see these are all the snapshots, and these snapshots are literally the same as what you'd think of as a preset in Serum. So if I click these, I can instantly switch. And if anybody's ever had this problem, this is not normally the type of thing that's very easy to automate or map to a controller for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. It should be. It makes sense, but it just isn't. So, and once again, like Serum does have a way to do it with like, you have to like put a bunch of preset files into a separate folder, and it's like all really stupid and requires a lot of planning and file renaming. And but like this way to do it within Max for Live is universal. You can load up like, all right, let's say like, EST, actually, yeah, if I just change this to massive.dll, I hope is the name of the file, and I hope it doesn't crash or something. Oh, I'm getting oh, there we go. See, now it's massive. So now I could do the same exact thing. So let's load up quick, whatever, BA quick square. I can go here, save, or actually I'll put it back in the normal view so it's a little easier to see, but save that preset, come over here to save, hit load, save, load. So now I can just jump between those two sounds, and that's all it took to set that up. Now, normally, if I was going to set that up in Massive, I'd have to like come over here. I'd have to like make a new program thing. I'd have to make a new program list, save the program list. And the program list, like it's dependent on your computer. So you actually, if your files are in a different location, if you send your project to a different computer, you have to remake it from scratch. It's a big pain. So with my method using Max for Live, I could literally like if I send this project to you, you don't have to have these presets in your computer. You don't have to have, all you have to have is Massive. It'll all save in the Ableton project, all save in the Max for Live device. It's nice and tidy. The presets, like they change, basically instantly. You can automate this in your live sets, and just create exactly the set you want, where you're calling up the right sounds you need. Yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah, and I have there's some other cool stuff I can show you. So just in terms of like how this all works. So on my on this chain where we have also Serum lives, we've got something called Midi Quantize, which is basically not something I made. It's just something I found. But I was always wondering, is it possible to, so if you have a push, you might be familiar with the repeat function, and the repeat function basically quantizes and allows you to re-trigger like this. But what's nice about if you're just using the repeat function as the quantize function, you can play, if you're playing live and you have repeat on, you're always in time. So you sound like you're probably a little bit better than you are. But with that, there's no way to simply quantize without repeat. So this Midi Quantize device will essentially, if I'm playing, let me just play like over here. here, it's basically just quantizing it to 30. I mean, I have this tempo set to 72, so that would be 30-second notes in this particular BPM.
Sounds cool.
So you never have to worry about, if you're playing live, you can stay in time, and you can kind of just mash your fingers on here on your MIDI controller and not have to worry about it sounding horrible. So, and also because you're also in scale, theoretically, if you're like me and you don't really bother learning chromatic mode. I know I see like Claire play in chromatic mode on the push, and I'm like, wow, I can't do that. But you know, doll trick. But yeah, I'm just in scale mode. I'm kind of just in, you know, I'm a plebe when it comes to you know, music, I guess music theory and playing in chromatic. But with this, I can just make sure. Oh, the other thing that's cool is that I'm just using this pitch. Like, there's probably this is a very, very simple way to do it, but essentially this just transposes. So I'm gonna just leave my push in the key of C minor for everything for this entire set, and then basically use transpose depending on the root note. So this track is in C sharp or whatever, E flat. So I'm using this pitch plugin just to transpose it up one semitone, which, so the difference between C major and C sharp, or I'm sorry, C minor and C sharp minor is one semitone. So that's just going to be automated. And then over here, I've got a track in A. So when that happens, it actually will transpose the track down 3 semitones. So once again, it's just a little hack, so you don't need to think about, oh, what key is this track? I don't have to go into my push and go to the scale mode and change the scale. And the other thing is nice is on my launch pad, I have a scale mode too, but again, it's like, if I use the launch pad, if I decide I want to use the push to do something and I want to use the launch pad to play notes, the launch pad is it's gonna be the same. So I don't have to have a separate way to set the key and push and launch pad, and it just will work. So that's Midi Quantize. And obviously, like I was mentioning, I love to just automate these different things. So this basically what's called Quantized Interval, which is essentially your you know, whether you're want to play in 16th notes or 32nd notes, you can automate that as well. This device is just available on the line. Like, it's nothing hidden anywhere. You can just find it. It's on the Max for Life. It's free. It's not commercial. So you just grab it. But it's also included in the project file that is linked in my other screen here. bit.ly Max for Live VST. So, I mean, it's just it's just like, oh, the other thing that's to mention about this device is that it only works when the transport is going. So I'm playing back right now. You'll notice that's a kind of a terrible sound, but somehow I messed up I think I did something weird, but anyway, the point is that it only works when the transport's playing. So if you're ever using, like, that drove me crazy one day that I couldn't figure that out. So just in case you decide to check this out, just know that little thing about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of getting to the end of the time here, Tom.
Yeah.
Any other things you wanted to touch up on, or any questions? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to cut you off. Any kind of closing thoughts, Tom?
Yeah. I mean, if you guys want to know anything more about any of this, you can just feel free to hit me up. I'm on Instagram, Nukage9000. Don't worry about it. I'm pretty willing to talk to anybody. I do also do private lessons if you really want to go in depth on any of these things, or if you really want to figure out how to use or just figure out how to perform live with Ableton with stems or with synths or anything like that, I've tried a lot of different things, so I could definitely, download what I know to you if that's what you want.
All right, great. Thanks, Tom. So I'm just trying to get everyone on here. Yeah, so I think we've come to the end of the user group for today. Yeah, I want to thank Tom, want to thank Adam for their presentations and sharing their knowledge, as always. And the next user group is going to be next month sometime. Keep your eyes peeled. It'll be, we'll kind of put it up on the 343 website, or you can also find it on the Ableton User Group, on the New York City Ableton User Group Facebook page. We will post when the next user group is meeting. And yeah, once again, 343 TV starts again tomorrow, so don't miss that, 1 p.m. And yeah, come and check out our classes at 343 Labs, Ableton Live, Logic Pro, mixing and mastering, vocal production, composition and arrangement, and sound design synthesis. Yeah, and check out our Discord as well. Drop the link in the chat. But yeah, we'd be happy to kind of grow, meet new people, and just, make music together, hang out. So thanks so much, guys. And
thank you, everybody.
We will see you. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Great job, everyone. Tthank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Good evening or good afternoon to you guys.